To fight a war, you need weapons and you need arms. Here's the thing. A lot of the weapons have been destroyed. The weapons have been destroyed, need to be manufactured, and you need rare earth minerals to manufacture. Rare earth minerals come from China. China says, no giving you nada. So they're not getting it from China. Ukraine, rare earth minerals are in the Donbass. Russia controls the Donbass, not getting it from there. Then you've got South Africa and you've got Greenland. Well, they're going to first have to complete conquest there before they get the rare earth minerals. So they're not going to be able to pause for 5 days. They're going to have to pause for maybe a year or two before they get the rare minerals to continue with their weapons. Right, next thing is missiles. Missiles, they're out of stock. We've seen on social media that the dates of the missiles are dated 2026, so they're already in the stock. We've also seen that they've lost their standing in the Southeast Asia because they've depleted. They are basically cannibalizing themselves. So the American bases in Southeast Asia and in Ukraine, they're basically taking it out. And from anywhere else they could find, they're bringing out the stock from there. Again, the speed of manufacture, they can't keep up with the speed of manufacture. Iran can make 50 Shahid drones a day, but not United States. United States policy is we are United States. We are big. We're the big guys. So they make everything big. So they have big warships and big submarines and big missiles and big everything. Here's the problem. It cannot be reproduced at the rate it's needed. So what does Trump do? Does he actually say, call a meeting, call his staff, call everybody and say, guys, we're out of weapons, we're out of stock. Let's call it a day and end the war because we cannot go on like this. No, he doesn't do that. He will not admit that because he wants to be king. He wants to maintain this image of where America is. So let's go back now to and look at where is America. Remember when we started, and for a while America has been the substitute of the United Nations. They basically thought they can rule the world, rule the empire, kill presidents, invade countries, go into Southeast Asia, go anywhere in the world and do what it wants to do. How can they do that now? They've now lost their standing. They don't want to be known by anyone except South Africa. They don't want to be known by even the countries in Europe. They, not too long ago, shared the same platform, shared the same vision, shared the same agenda. But Trump has insulted them and he has done so many things. So whereas they have very small and minor differences amongst themselves, but they will have nothing to do with Trump. So much so that they've closed airspace and they will not make any of their air bases available to United States. Why wouldn't anybody open up themselves to assist United States? Because they know what happened in the Gulf countries. The Gulf countries had military bases in United Arab Emirates, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in all those countries, and Iraq. So one by one, they've been destroyed, and Iraq has basically told them, pack your bags and go. So they're not even there any longer. So if you can't go into any country, you cannot win this war. Why? Because you need a base from which to operate. Brian Berletic has put out a video of a practice run in Wyoming. In Wyoming, USA, before they went into Iran, you saw planes trying to land on a highway. Why were they trying to do that? Because they don't have air bases, so they were just checking it out to see could they actually take portions of national roads in a country like Iran, and could they land on a highway because they don't have any other place to go to. So coming back to why is South Africa the only place that seems to be ecstatic about having the US Marines on their shores, whereas other countries don't want to even have anything to do with the United States. To other countries, it's like the plague. Stay away from them. They're trouble. But in South Africa, they welcome them. Well, one of the things that we must look at is we have to look at South Africa, which basically is a combination of Iran and Israel. You have both the powers here. You have us, the people of South Africa, and we have Cyril Ramaphosa, the DANC, which, and especially now under the DA, new leadership, the mayor of Cape Town, very, very strong ties to Zionist Israel. And one of the things that this new mayor has said, he says he's going to fight very hard and he's going to sort out the GNU, which is the ANC. He says you cannot have one party decide on policy and something else taking Israel to the ICJ or taking Netanyahu to the ICJ. War crimes, people, war crimes. The Israel, even during its period of ceasefire, kills Lebanese. Do you know how they kill? They just bomb the southern part of Lebanese. So you get thousands of people just dying one time. And Israel defends it and says, oh, it's because of the Hezbollah that is there in Lebanon. I mean, in buildings, in houses, in churches, in schools, in hospitals, is Hezbollah there? Those are just buildings with civilians and people there. So we basically have Netanyahu here in the face of Gordon Hill Lewis. And it is it places us in a predicament because other countries won't have a United States land on their shores and definitely would not have the US Marines, etc., or use their country as a military base because they know Iran will take them down. But here, this is our problem. How will Iran attack South Africa, the same country that is taking the ICJ, taking Netanyahu and Israel to the ICJ? So this is what the Zionist lobby knows. So and this is what United States knows. And perhaps that is the reason. What is the reason that Trump has focused on South Africa? Because let's forget about the story about the white genocide. Because the same people that he offered refugee status to in America, they're not happy there. And he hasn't treated them very well there in America. So it's not, if he really was interested about those people, he certainly would not have just brought them into the country and just left them there. So the real reason could be that South Africa could be a haven for US interests. And then come back to why is there such an influx of money coming into South Africa from the United States and its proxies, especially its Middle East proxies, is because it may be seen as a safe place for the Zionists, safe place for the United States. So South Africans need to question this, need to rise up and protect our sovereignty, protect our people. We cannot have the United States here. And the Zionists, the war crimes are known so well now. Before, the mainstream media was hiding and trying to give this impression that Israel is nothing wrong with it. It's Hezbollah and Hamas, and those are the terrorists, and those are that. But now, after this war, the whole world now can see that actually Israel is the North Korea that people saw as the villain. It was not North Korea, it was Israel. And how can we defend the DA? The DA is the proxy of Netanyahu. One thing that the DANC know, they know the scale. You know the scale of justice? The scale of justice which they can tip this way and tip that way. They know numbers and they know how to rig things. So they in their war room, they look at the situation. They can see that they have lost. They can see they have no support. So what do? They look at, because they're not prepared to put things right. No, they won't put things right. Rather, their attitude and their tactic, so to speak, their strategy is open borders. Open the borders and flood us in with people who will become citizens and will then change the voters' roll. So if you know that you are going to lose and most people are going to be voting for Mkhonto Sizwe, so what you do then is you make sure that you open the borders. Western Cape is straight out. Straight out, they come in legally. So there's no undocumented foreigners in the Western Cape. White people who come in from countries like in Europe and Israel and America, or so many from basically from around the world, they come in legally. They come in into South Africa, they stand on the queue, they already process their application, they walk in, they probably even bought their house, or they created the category, or they obtained citizenship in that category of either business or um, um, whatever category they applied for. So that is what's going on that part of the world. Then on the other part of the world, which is on the physical borders, you see Africans coming into Africa. Those ones are not getting citizenship, but they've covered the first rung. Let's talk about the ladder again. We're escalating the number and the voters' roll of people who are going to vote for the DANC. And so from the Western Cape, you've got those people coming in. Now you've got Africa on that side. Already Home Affairs has spoken about a policy to allow people from Nigeria, people from Zimbabwe to come in and sort of indefinitely. So you can see that the next stage, we should be on the door. We should be opening the door one of the days of Department of Home Affairs saying we're going to allow permanent residence and we are going to allow citizenship for even the people coming in from Africa. What would be its reason? Substituting the population to vote for them. But again, let me say, when it comes to our people in Africa, remember, Mkhonto Sizwe is Pan-African, and our president has wonderful relations with everybody in Africa. And when it comes to the African population that is here, they know very well what the DANC stands for. So I personally don't think that when it comes to Africans are not going to give their vote to the DANC. They know the DANC very well. Now we are focused on the Western Cape. It's very late to be focused on the Western Cape. And let us see why we have so late come to realize what's going on in Western Cape. It is because the design of the system was to keep us focused in the rest of the country. So the rest of the country, there's an influx of undocumented foreigners from Africa. So our eyes are there. There's conflict between South Africans and undocumented foreigners. There's a strain on the resources. People can't get medication at a hospital. People can't get treatment. Schools are a problem. So that is where all the focus is. So while we were there in the Western Cape, it's like we went to sleep in another area. One eye was fast asleep. We wake up, like Ruppe and Winkel, after 40 years, we wake up and what do we see? We see an economic tsunami. They have already captured the Western Cape in property. They've come in legally. They have obtained their permanent residence or citizenship. They're now going to be on the voters' roll and they own property. So what's the need to have an independent Western Cape? There's no need for an Orania style Western Cape, because if you own it, you already got it. Why do you need it now to have borders around it? You already are protected because you are an owner. They already have taken the land of the Khoi and San yet again. This is a colonization which I say has happened over and over again.
Jacob Zuma warned us about this. Just going on to that.
Our President Jacob Zuma, he warned us about everything. He warned us about everything, and that was why he focused so much on land. And the different laws that he passed while he was in presidency, which had to do with protecting of traditional leadership and Khoisan, was very much tied to the land and governance. Unfortunately, um, they were successful. They were successful in removing him, in doing all the kind of things that they are still doing to him, because they know exactly what does President Jacob Zuma mean. It means their end. So, like they did to Ayatollah Khomeini, that's what they do. That's what they did to Libyan president. So they use all kinds of means. When you use courts, you use the prosecution, you use manipulation, like ANC elective conference to remove Jacob Zuma. They've used all kinds of things. So, but basically, back to what I'm trying to say is our future, our only hope is in Sizwe, led by President Jacob Zuma. Our People's Manifesto is gold to us. Hold on to it and be faithful and follow everything that is said there, and that is our only way to resolve this situation. The Cape Point is important because that's where we've got our deposit of crude oil. We've got crude oil, it's in the ocean. And Ramaphosa went to sell it to Toto. I mean, Ramaphosa just sells South Africa left, right, and center. You know, he's like the estate agent collecting a commission all over the place. I'm coming from Cape Town. I'm telling you, it's bad. You go to you go to waterfront, or you go to any place. You hear French this side, Italian that side, Spanish that side, Dutch this side, some other Eastern country language. You hear an American English accent, a British accent, a Irish accent. It's flooded. You don't know if you're in South Africa or you in some other place. And these are not tourists. They are tourists, but they're not only tourists. These are people who are there. There's no stock in Cape Town. You can't sell more because there's no stock. If a rental comes or a property comes on the market for sale, it stays onto the market for 2 days. After 2 days, it's gone. No Land, No Freedom has sent out an invitation to our President Jacob Zuma to talk to the nation and to educate the nation and educate all of us on the Cape Point, on the Western Cape, on everything, basically, on everything this program has spoken about. Land thieves. Essentially, let's call them what they are. He will speak to us about land thieves. When I look at sovereignty and I look at the way in which African countries coexist with each other, I compare it to like a compound. If you have a community that is living in a place where you've got a lot of homesteads all over the place, so that is equal to a country. So if you look at this homestead and you know that everybody lives where you are used to saying this homestead here is Zimbabwe, this homestead is South Africa, this is Malawi, this homestead here is Swaziland. Given that there were no borders, white people made borders between countries, and given that all these people are one Africa, one nation, that is our view of Mkhonto Sizwe. Now, how do you create trouble? So, as it exists, House Swaziland asks House South Africa, we'd like to come and visit you on this day or that day. We want to share this and that, and we bring gifts, etc. Then House South Africa says, yes, you're welcome to. How long are you going to come for? They say, I'm coming for 3 months. They said, yes. How many people are you coming with? Yes, you're welcome to come in there. House South Africa wants to go to another house, and they visit each other. And so this community has rules, it has a relationship, and everything is orderly. What happens if somebody removes the fences around each homestead? What happens when the doors of each house is removed? You lose the structured framework under which people coexist. You lose that because before it was by permission, by agreement, by invitation, and people could then plan for how much of food to have prepared because your household is going to increase by 25% to 10% with visitors. Suddenly, all of that disappears. The people came in, removed your doors, your burglars, your windows, your fences, etc. And now you've just got everything opened. When it's opened, it's law of the jungle and it's wide open. Now the stress and strain that is caused, you got fights because the bread is disappearing. There were five panado that was there for five people or for somebody who needed it. Now you've got 50 people looking for the five panado. You've got a strain on everything. Who do you blame? The whole design of the people who removed the doors and the windows was to cause those people in that area to fight with each other. A lot of conflict. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of conflict because you've broken down the structure, you've broken down the design of it. That is the dangerous role of the system, the Zionists, the globalists. That is what they've done. The open borders have been designed to create this and to destroy the unity and to destroy the way people live with each other. So after you've opened the borders, after you've removed the doors, then you have this conflict, okay? You now have changed people's open-heartedness and trust with each other. And under those circumstances, they can come forward and come and be viewed as the savior of the day. So people, we need to look at the situation and understand when we have this chaos created by design, who do we get cross at? Where should our anger be directed? Our anger must always be directed at those who remove the doors, those who remove the burglars, those who remove the fences. And whatever stress and strain, there should be lots of marches and demands made to the removers, the door removers, the fence removers. The demand must be made to them that they must finance whatever lack occurs in these communities. And if it must come from their pocket, like Ramaphosa has now made himself a 26 billion rand billionaire, come from your pocket. You'll finance it because this has been criminal. The breakdown of an organized framework and structure by the door thieves and the fence thieves is criminal.
And there is no second guesses as to who the door and the fence thieves are. They are none other beside the DANC. And it is the DANC which must be held accountable for the treasonous act of open borders.